Hello, Durud and Shalom. How's everyone doing? Guys, please make sure you like the stream. We finally have a ceasefire in Syria right now. Let me know in the chat if you think the ceasefire in Syria is going to last. It seems like not. I don't know. It seems like we're going to be here with the situation in Syria between the Sunnis and the Druze is going to keep happening again and again and again and again. It seems like we're going to be revisiting this topic many, many times. Not only the Druze, it seems like we're going to be revisiting this topic with regard. Let me actually remove this audio here. Everything is fine. All the settings are good. Yes. It's not just the Druze. It's going to be the Alawites, the Druze, the Kurdish people, the Al Qaeda and ISIS, Sunni type, and also now we have Muslim Brotherhood. It's a mess. It's a mess. Syria is a mess, and I think that we're going to be continuing to talk about the tensions in Syria. It doesn't seem like Syria is capable of becoming a stable country but there is a lot of economic interest in making it a stable country. So I don't know if the capitalism is our only hope. Yeah, on one side we have capitalism, on the other side we have religion and ethnic identities. Yeah, so yeah, that's the problem. Okay, so let me see in the chat who is here. I see Flying Robot Dog. I see Marcier. I see Heavy Griddle. I see Jack. I see Seth. I see Sam, Atheist Gamer, Angry Keyboard Warrior, Ran, Hebrew names that I cannot read. Jewish Samantha, Amikai, fantastic. You guys are here. Urban Lancer and Amir. Hey, DT, fantastic. That's great. Ginga is here. Guys, give me your opinions. I want to be more involved in engaging with the audience more. But let me actually tell you guys what's happening in Iran regarding the pro-regime people are milking this whole situation in Syria right now. They are dancing around telling people, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. I will give you 3 reasons why they're telling people I told you so. Can you guys guess why the pro-regime Iranians are happy to keep pointing out that these attacks? Let me actually show you the attacks that we're talking about because it's important. So this was the attack. This is the bombing. Hold on. Let's put it on the screen. This was, let me see. This was Israel came out and did the bombing of where was this? Hold on. I have the note here. So Israel bombed Damascus, targeting the Syrian General Staff headquarters, the defense ministry, and then even damaged the presidential palace. So let's take a look at that before I take a look at the chat.
غارة جديدة وائل. غارة جديدة وائل. غارة جديدة وائل. غارة ثانية. غارات عنيفة جدا. 4 صواريخ. 4 صواريخ.
Yeah, that was basically it. We got a super chat. By the way, guys, I do respond to the super chats as well, so I hope we get some super chats as well so that I have something to respond to. Sean, thank you so much. And super chats and memberships are a really good way to support the channel. Sean is saying, what is a way we can manage Syria that would promote stability? Investments, like there needs to be a lot of money, trade, the economic corridor that goes through Syria that everybody has been waiting for. That needs to happen. You might not like to hear this, but Saudi investment might actually help. Saudi and UAE investments might actually help. So again, you might not like to. Capitalism is usually the stabilizing solution. Okay, so getting trade routes going through Syria and getting Israel benefiting from that as well. That is the way. Whenever goods cross borders, soldiers and bullets cross them much less. That's what you need. You need money. Money is the solution. Investments, trade, capitalism. Yeah. So for people who don't know what we were talking about, let me actually talk about what happened. This all began with a small incident that quickly spiraled into a major conflict. A Druze merchant was kidnapped on a highway in Swaida, a province in southern Syria, which is not basically the Golan Heights. So it's away from the Golan Heights. So the idea that this is being used as an excuse for Israel to capture parts of Syria doesn't make any sense because it's not even there. Oh, by the way, do you guys guess why the pro-regime people are happy with regards to this? Let me actually guess while I go through what happened. Okay, so it started like that. In response, the Druze fighters attacked members of the Bedouin tribes. These are basically Sunni Arab nomadic groups. These two communities have had a long last standing land and political tensions. What started as a small fight quickly turned into full-blown clashes involving guns, rockets, and dozens of deaths. So yeah, by the way, people are heavily armed in Syria. Like the Druze are armed, these Arab Bedouin tribes are armed. Everybody's armed. It's not just the government. So how did this escalate? Fighting, basically the situation didn't just stay local, it became a lot bigger. Fighting spread across the Sueda. Armed groups from both sides got involved. The Syrian government sent in troops, but many Druze saw this as taking the Bedouin side. So here's what I think happened, and I know some of you might disagree. I think the government sent their soldiers and people there to stop the tensions, but the thing is that the people that they send, even though maybe the government ordered them to go there to stop the tensions, they are filled with ISIS and Al Qaeda and Muslim Brotherhood sympathizers. So they go there and instead of stopping the tension, they attack the Druze as well. That's what I think happens. I don't think that with the government's, it's been in the interest of the government to actually go and attack the Druze. But I think even if you order them to go stop both sides from fighting, when they show up there, they're like, "Oh, the Druze, huh? You mean these infidels? And something happens and they start fighting. Even that they don't follow, I don't think they follow the command, and also they start cutting them. What is it with mustaches and Druze? I heard that the mustache is very. I know that the Sunni groups that cut their mustaches by force to humiliate them. I know. I recently heard somebody say that their mustaches is very religious to them. It's a very religious symbol. Mars is saying, "Okay, Armin, hear me. I don't know what you're saying." Oh, we got a super chat. Shauna is saying, with all due love, I don't think capitalism will save it when there's people who aren't interested in capitalism. We know who we mean. Well, yeah, I mean, people are, yeah, but there are also people, most people are interested in money and making more, I mean, this is a human nature. Yes, there are some people who have managed to infect society with their Marxist views and their Islamist views, but it's the infection is not complete. You're basically fighting this is a war between memes and genes. There's a meme that is anti-capitalist, but our genes, which is something much more deeper in us, we like to live good. We like to be able to have peace, stability. We like to be able to eat well, live well. So how could you fight that? Like, as at the end of the day, if whatever toxic ideas you have in a society, if you find a way to give people the opportunity to live better, that opportunity is going to win against even the most toxic of ideologies, which is communism, Islamism, and wokeism. I mean, look at, like, just you have seen, all you have to see is just get exposed to the opportunity of a better life. That's all you need. This is how the Berlin Wall came down. This is how communism was defeated anyways, right? Communism was defeated because many people in the communist countries, because we had TV and radio, they just saw how the other people were living and like, how about we get more of that? So yeah, I actually do believe in the power of capitalism. I think it's actually the greatest force that we have. It's the greatest force. The greatest force against toxic ideas is the power of markets, is the power of trade. is the power of prosperity. So yes, I do think capitalism is our best friend. Capitalism, which is part of liberal values, is our best friend, is our best weapon against Islamism, wokeism, and Marxism. Well, we got another super chat. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate the super chats. Delta is saying regime boys are very Assad that Bashar is regime boys are very Assad that Bashar is gone. Okay, okay. I was like, what are you saying? Now I get it. God, guys, these types of jokes sometimes it just flies over my head. We need Susanna here for that. But I'm glad I got that one. Right. So, did anyone guess why the pro Iranian regime people are celebrating these attacks that are happening? Oh, so where is Susanna? Susanna's busy. Susanna has a lot of work. She has unlike me, she has another job. This is what I do mainly. I guess CSAD was the better option. That's a good guess. I will respond to that. Gage, an American, saying, in governance of China by Xi Jinping, he concedes that you need the market forces to make people rich. Yeah, that's also, yeah, before they can have communism, but they need state forces to ensure productivity is properly channeled. Yeah, that's called state capitalism, not the form of capitalism. I mean, it's better than communism, but that's why China grew so much economically. But we have laws of fair capitalism, we have regulated capitalism, we have crony capitalism, and we have state capitalism. The only capitalism that shows the best type of capitalism that has proven to work is the regulated capitalism. So laws of fair capitalism doesn't work, crony capitalism doesn't work, state capitalism doesn't work, regulated capitalism is the one that works. Anyways, we're getting off topic. Oh, Shauna saying, but doesn't the UK, as an example, counter your belief? I love markets, team capitalism, but I'm not convinced it works for everyone. How does UK suggest that I'm wrong? How does UK suggest that I'm wrong? I don't understand. How does UK suggest that I'm wrong? Like, what about UK suggests that I'm wrong? In fact, UK is a point in my favor. UK is suffering. Much of UK's problem is because too much regulation, too much overtaxing, too much regulation, and too much government involvement. In fact, show me a problem in the UK, and I could show you too much government involvement. Like I could link almost every problem in the UK with too much government involvement. That actually kind of supports my view. Okay, Seymour is saying, do you want Zoroastrianism to make a comeback in Iran? Not as a real religion, just as something symbolic, yes. Not as a religion, though. As something that, as a tradition, as a symbolic of, as a symbol of ancient Iran and our culture and our history, and our, just the symbols, not the actual beliefs. So not Zoroastrianism as a religion, no. But I do like the symbols of Zoroastrianism as a symbol of Iranian nationalism, but not the actual beliefs, no. All right, but actually we have to go back to the topic. But no, actually, never mind. If you guys want to give if you do super chats, I will respond to it, even if it does. If it's, we need the super chat, so I will respond to the super chat. Okay, wait a second. How did it escalate? The Syrian government sent in the troops, but many Druze saw this as taking the Bedouin side. Yes, I know that. The Druze community felt under attack, justifiably so, not just from the Bedouins, but now from the Syrian regime too. Then came the big turning point. Israel bombed Damascus, targeting the Syrian General Staff headquarters, the defense ministry, and even damage the presidential palace. Okay, so yeah, we all know that. Why did Israel get involved? And this is what a lot of people are anti-Israeli people are misrepresenting. Anti-Israeli people are saying that, look, Israel cannot tolerate peace. Israel wants stability. Israel is a force of chaos. Every time that there's a chance for peace, Israel comes mess it up. Israel is trying to basically cut Syria into little pieces. That's also they're talking about the Greater Israel Project. These are all the reasons what they give, and these are people who don't understand that Israel is a democracy, and in democracy they don't understand how democracies work. In democracies, when people pressure the government actually responds, and Israel is a country filled with Druze that many Israelis love, and that's why when the Druze are attacked, not just Israeli Druze, but other Israelis pressure the government to take action, and this is what happened. This is the reason why Israel is doing this. Israel has a large Druze minority, Druze citizens, and many of them are within the IDF, and even Israelis who are not Druze. Many of them love Druze, and they want their government to support them, and this is the reason why this is happening. And many Israeli Druze have family ties to Druze communities in Syria. And by the way, this was so. I mean, I think a lot of you already saw. Once the Druze in Syria were being attacked, there were so many Druze that were just forcefully trying to crossing the border from Israel to Syria to try to go in Syria to pretend they're Druze brothers and sisters, which is very wholesome and kind of dangerous. Like they were basically leaving Israel, marching into Syria to try to. They weren't waiting for the government to come protect the Jews. They were just going in there to protect them themselves, which is really wholesome and intense at the same time. Oh, we got another super chat. Wow, guys, thank you so much. The super chats are a lot today. Really appreciate the super chat. Saying, please accept my jizya. Oh, handsome. What is that? I need to see the Arabic version of this. Hold on. I could look up the Arabic so I can know what you're referring to. The hold on. I don't know. This is not okay. No, I don't know what this is. Dia? What is Dia? Oh, handsome Dia Javid Shah. I don't know what this is. Hold on. Dia Al Kabi. Let me see. Let me learn something today. Dia was the envoy. Oh yes, again this one. Was the envoy who delivered the Islamic Prophet Muhammad's message to Roman Emperor. Okay. Is that what you're referring to? I think that's what you're referring to. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm the handsome Dia, and I received the jizya. Okay, guys, if you're gonna give me jizya, please, if you're new to this channel, don't get confused. I would appreciate it if you do not send me jizz. Okay, the jizya that people are sending me is something completely different. Please, we do not need your jizz. Jizya is fine, but don't send me any jizz. Very important that you understand. Go look at this up. Don't think like I don't this is not that type of channel. Okay, this is not that type of channel. Keep your jizz to yourself. But jizyas, yes, you could send that to us as super chat. Oh, speaking of, Sam, thank you so much for the super chat saying, what do you think about the Druze state? Is that a plan? Druze state plan? Khalifa is promoting this. Why are the current borders of Syria important? Okay, so here's the thing: Syria as a country is really hard to hold together, right? I don't know if Syria can maintain itself as a country, right? Honestly, like I'm gonna go with the Hegelian model of saying whatever is actual is rational and whatever is rational is actual. Yeah, the actual is rational and the rational is actual. Yeah. So yeah, is that what he said? Basically, if Syria, yeah, What is rational is actual, and what is actual is rational. Yes. So basically, meaning that if Syria falls apart, then it was inevitable for it to fall apart, and if it doesn't fall apart, then that was also inevitable. It's just so hard to see how it's just really hard to keep Syria as a country together. I'm generally against changing of borders because changing borders are absolutely messy and it causes bloodbaths. And I'm just generally in defense of holding the borders where they are at, as they are. And also because I'm a liberal and I want to basically defend the nation states as they are with their current borders, then as a proper liberal, I will defend every country's border until they are not there. It is not their border anymore. I think it's very important as liberals for us to defend the border integrity of every country as they are right now, right? Unless something really, really major happens or if there's a referendum. I think it would make more sense for Syria, for the Jews to just get a level of autonomy like the Kurds have in Iraq. Like, I think that's what we should aim for because I don't think we should be normalizing changing any borders. I think it's better not to normalize changing borders. But again, I also understand that Syria is such a mess of different groups and different communities that it's really hard to maintain it as a country because I mean, let's count. Who do we have? We have the Islamists, whether they're Al Qaeda, ISIS, or Muslim Brotherhood. We have the Alawites. We have the Druze. We have the Kurdish groups, and then we also have Syrians who are actually interested in Syria as a nation state. They're the patriots, the nationalist Syrian types. So yeah, I mean, these are so many different groups with so many different agendas. That is really hard to keep deterring. This is why nationalism is so important. Like this is what we have in Iran that you don't see in Iraq or in Syria. Like if you go to Iraq and you ask, or Afghanistan, like if you talk to the Pashtun people in Afghanistan, they don't really their Afghanistan identity is not that big of a deal. It's the Pashtun identity that matters, right? Or if you go talk to a Kurdish person in Iraq, their Kurdish identity is far more important than their Iraqi identity, right? And if you go, I mean, I'd go talk to I don't know, maybe Druze in Syria. Many Druze in Syria don't even recognize Syria as a country. Their Druze identity is more important than Syrian identity, right? Or any other groups. I mean, the Islamists, for example, obviously they're interested in a caliphate. They're not interested in any form of a nation state. But if you go to Iran, if you talk to the Persian people, if you talk to the Azeris, if you talk to the Arabs, if you talk to the Baluchis, if you talk to the Kurds, if you talk to the Gilakis, if you talk to the Bakhtiyari, they're Iranian first, they're Iranian second, they're Iranian third, and then after that, maybe they will tell you that they're Kurdish, Azeri, or something else. But they're Iranian, and everything else, any other identity comes not even second. So that's why Iran is more, some people say, more naturally a country than any of these other ones like Iraq and Syria. It's like Israel. Iran is more like Israel. It just makes sense as a country. And this is why history is so important. I didn't recognize the importance of history. Having a deep rooted history gives you roots, gives your nation roots, gives you identity. History, art, and culture gives you roots. Oh, Angry Keyboard Warrior, thank you so much for the super chat saying, when you say we need to maintain the current borders, are those the de jure borders or the de facto borders. I don't know. I don't actually know the terms that you're using. I'm just talking about the borders recognized by the United Nations. Okay, unless, and I'm not talking about in every scenario. There could be rare situations. There are exceptions, like if there's a genocide, not just a massacre, but an actual genocide, or if there's a referendum within the country itself, or there's another condition. If there's a chance of it, like if obviously survival is more important than abiding by international law, right? You have to first survive to be able to abide by international law. So I don't know the terms that you were using. I was just talking whatever we as a global community have came together and have accepted. Oh, de jure means on paper, de facto means in practice. Well, so I guess what I'm hoping for is that in practice we actually enforce what's on paper, or else those papers will become meaningless, and then all international law will become meaningless. So I guess what I want is what's on paper to be closer to what's practically happening on the ground, because those papers will be meaningless if we're not enforcing them, and if they become meaningless, then the whole idea of international law is becoming challenged. And I know as Israelis, referring to international law, you might not like referring to international law, given how much international law was used to abuse Israelis. But honestly, the alternative is absolute chaos. Like, we don't want to go. I mean, so yeah, the world with international law is very unfair to Jews with those international laws, but the world without international law was a world with Holocaust in it, right? So as unfair as the world we have, as unfair the world is today against Israelis and Jews, it used to be a lot worse without the international laws. Yes, we need to reform international laws. Yes, Torah, completely agree. We don't need to we shouldn't be getting rid of international laws. We should be reforming them, right? Guys, by the way, with regards to the Druze in Syria, it's very important that more people understand the bond. Like, I just recently realized how important it is for us to advertise the bond between Israeli people and Jews, not just Israeli Jews, but other Israelis, because this is because a lot of people are going to, because I think this is going to continue, the fights between the Druze and Sunnis in Syria, and Israel is going to continue to the involvement is going to continue. And I think a lot of people are going to use that as a way to demonize Israel, to show that, look, even after fall of Assad, Israel is still attacking Syria. Let me actually tell you the three things that I'm hearing for pro-regime people in Iran when they're pointing at Syria. First of all, they're trying to say Israel wants to challenge the border integrity of Syria and divide Syria. And this is why Iranian people should actually be afraid of Israel instead of supporting it. Because when Israel is threatened by a country, they go and cut it into pieces. And, Iranian people are very sensitive, very, very sensitive about the border integrity of Iran. So the pro-regime religious Iranians are now trying to scare the pro-Israeli Iranians by saying, look, what Israel is doing in Syria is what Israel eventually will plan to do with Iran, because this is what Israel does to its enemies. They basically try to cut it into pieces. And they are trying to say that because they know that this is a major red line for Iranians. Like, for Iranians, I don't think there's many things above border integrity that that matters to them, right? Yeah, I know. Torah is saying we want to save the Druze. That's why. This is what I was explaining on my Persian show. I was telling the Iranians that, guys, we have to, because the Iranian people, like, on my Persian channel, I just finished my Persian show on our Persian channel before I came here, and I was telling the Iranian people, I was explaining to them about This is about the Druze. It's not about cutting Syria into pieces. I mean, if it happens, it happens. It's not Israel's policy. And like a lot of people in the chat were asking, like, who are these Jews? Like, what is this? What are you talking? Like, I had to talk. And then when I was telling them about the bond between Israelis and Jews, so many, my chat was filled, but like, but why? Like, why do they love them so much? And I had to, it's good that I had the the interview with Mansour and Khalif, because I had a lot of information to give the Persian community, because they were so curious about the bond, this bond, and why Israel it goes in and defends the Druze. So I had to educate my live chat about this and tell them that this is not really about um attack trying to border change the borders of Syria. Oh wow, we got a lot of super chats. Let me actually respond to all of them. Ginga saying make referendum in Swaida, Israel, Syria, or Syria or independ. I don't know what you mean. Okay, so referendum for cessation, you mean? Am I reading this right? If you're saying for a referendum for cessation, then in a referendum, everybody in that country needs to be voting. Like, so for example, if you have country A and it has a section B, and section B wants to secede, it's not section B that has to vote, the entire country has to vote, because under international law, the B part belongs to all of the country A, not just the people who are residing there. So if there is a referendum, then everybody should vote, right? Not just, so for example, if the Kurds of Kurdistan, Iraq, want to secede from Iraq, then if they vote and you see that, oh, the majority of them want to leave, that's not good enough. The vote should be the entire country, because legally that part of the country belongs to everybody there, not just the people, not just to the people residing there. So Joel is saying, I meant Dia al Khalbi, probably misspelled it. Dia al Khalbi. Anyways, here is some extra European tribute mummies, tribute monies. I love your work and important info about Iran. Oh, thank you. Wait, hold on. I have to look this guy. Every time I see, let me see. Is that the ad? Yeah, that's the same guy. That's the same thing. Dia ibn al Khalifa. That was something was the envoy who delivered the Islamic prophet Muhammad. So the Arabic is Dehya bin Khalifa. Okay, so yeah, this is like when in Iran we didn't refer. I think the Sunnis refer to this guy a lot more than us, because in school in Iran, this guy was not a big hero. Like we didn't. This guy was not mentioned to us in school that much. Maybe maybe it's a bigger hero in the Sunni world. Dehya bin Khalifa. Yeah. But thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Angry keyboard warrior saying, when you say we need to maintain the current borders, are those oh yeah, I already read that one. Here's the one. Elad is saying there are only 4 real countries in the Middle East: Israel, Iran, Turkey, and Egypt. The rest are artificial creations of inventions. Well, actually, every country is artificial creation or invention, because that's true about every country. There's okay, if you're talking about because the idea of a country is you can't find it in nature, like a fruit or a flower or a butterfly or like DNA. There's not, like, obviously the idea of a country is a man-made concept, so that makes every country artificial. Artificial is not bad. Like, humans have created so many things that you cannot find readily in nature, and they are amazing. Like, just artificial is not necessarily bad. Like the idea of property rights, human rights, these are all artificial. and they're great, right? We like them. Free speech. All of this is just made up, and we made them up, and they work, so it's good. So I think what you mean. So all countries are basically made up. All countries, but some countries, and even countries that have a deep history, like Turkey, Iran, Egypt, and Israel, the modern version of the nation state that has been applied to them, that's modern. Okay, so I think what you're trying to say is that among all modern nation state, which they're all modern, Israel is a modern concept, Iran today is a modern concept under the framework of a nation state. This is a modern liberal concept after the French Revolution that we created, right? Turkey and Egypt. What you're saying is some of these countries have been built around a much deeper, more ancient identity that has roots in society with art, culture, literature, myth, legends, which that sense of strong identity and history makes it easier to hold these countries, even in the modern format of it, makes it easier to hold it together as they are because of those deep roots. I think that's a more accurate way of saying it, instead of saying that these are the only real countries, the other ones are artificial. Every single country is a made up concept. We got another super chat. Thank you guys for all these super chats. Tora is saying, I sent you a message on Telegram. Loved you and Mars. Okay, I'm gonna at some so I guess if I haven't had messages from you before, it's gonna be muted. Once a week I might go and check all my muted Telegram messages. So I will see that at some point. Well, thank you so much, Tora. I really appreciate you. Loved you and man. Loved you and who? Oh, you mean Mansoor? Okay, loved you and Mansoor. Okay, okay. I was like, who? Loved you and Mansoor. Okay, yeah. Thank you so much. And yeah, me, Mansoor, and yeah. Okay, I see that you corrected what you said, Mansoor. Mansoor Khalifa. Yeah, that was a very fun show. I really enjoyed. Guys, go watch that show. What did I name that show? I basically brought two amazing Druze activists. What was the title of that show? Go look that up, guys. It's a very important show. It's called is basically 2 nights ago. It's called Jews Massacred in Syria. Go watch that. I think we did a good job. Oh, what the hell? Did I just unselect Okay, let me actually read that one. Nilufar saying no campus protest for Druze, nothing from the media. Yes, Nilufar, very good point. No Druze, no news. Exactly. And then we got a super chat here from Shauna. Shauna saying, we invented animal rights, extending protections beyond not only our own race, but beyond our own species. Team humans. Yes, exactly. Like, yeah, we invented a lot of concepts are man-made and made up. And instead of, when we say made up, that shouldn't, like, a lot of leftists, for example, say, oh, this is just made up. Like, why are you, when they say made up, why is that a bad thing? You should be actually impressed with humans. Yeah, team humans. Like, you're telling me you made up these amazing things that they work, like the idea of money, human rights, animal rights, I don't know, country, property rights, free speech, democracy, separations of powers, liberal values, secularism. All of these are made up. Why is that a bad thing? You should be like, wow, you made up so many fantastic things that work, that make the world much better place to. They might be made up, but their effect on our lives are objective. They might be subjective concepts, but they have objective effects on our lives. Right. Oh, Gene, I don't know if love and family is human invention. I think that is actually natural. Like, I think that's basically because love and family, you can find that in non-human animals. So I think that's actually genetic. That's actually something that is in nature without humans. I think we made up ideas that makes love and family a lot more stable and a lot more, yeah, rewarding. Oh, let me regarding the Druze. Let me actually show you this video regarding border integrity. So look at this video from some Druze in Syria. This is why I'm saying that this is going to be very difficult. So let me actually read what was the caption of this. So these were some Druze in southern Syria, basically chanting for the toppling of the government in Syria. Look at this. Yeah, this is gonna making Syria peaceful and stable is going to be a very difficult job. And I don't know. By the way, guys, what do you think? I don't know. I understand why Israel is doing this. Um, it might make Trump angry because, as you guys know, Trump really liked Jolani, and he's very interested in seeing Syria have less tensions. And I saw Rubio just came in immediately and brought a ceasefire. So now that Israel is bombing Syria, I don't know. We have to be careful if that's going to piss off Trump. So that's something that we need to be mindful of. Let me see. The United States will. So we have a ceasefire right now, and the United States welcomed it. Marco Rubio was involved, and Marco Rubio came in and said that, "Oh, this was just a misunderstanding," something like that. So they came in and basically, again, the ceasefire. I don't know if it's going to hold. I think this whole incident, it seemed like it started with just two tribes fighting, but I think the problem is much more deep rooted, and that those are just sparks to something very explosive. That, I mean, if it's not this, there's going to be another spark that is going to make it explode. So I think that it's very likely, it's very possible that this is just going to keep happening, and then every time it happens, Israel is going to be responding. And every time Israel is responding, we have to see if it's going to make the Americans angry. So that's something that we have to be mindful of. And also, Jolani came in and on TV and talked about this. So again, I'm not gonna.
إسرائيلي إلى استهداف موسع للمنشآت المدنية والحكومية لتقويض هذه.
All right, I'm not gonna play the whole thing. I'm just gonna read the key points. So President Ahmed al-Shura, or Jolani, gave the televised speech. He accused Israel of trying to divide Syria, which is obviously a lie. Like, why would they? I mean, they're like, everybody who follows Israeli politics, they could understand that this is because they're doing this because the Druze community in Israel and the other Israelis want their government to do this. That's why it's happening. I mean, there's two reasons. One was because of the Druze and the other Israelis really wanting the government to do something. Oh, we got two more super chats. I will respond to them soon. But another thing is that when the Syrian government sent some tanks to go into that area to start to basically stop the fighting, Israel basically bombed those tanks as well, because they said, like, you weren't supposed to send heavy military in that area. Apparently the Israelis and the Syrian officials had already talked, and they already had an agreement that heavy military, Syrian military, would not be present in that area. So the Israel basically bombed those tanks, said, like, you were supposed to send police force, not like heavy military. Like, we already talked about this. We're not going to tolerate heavy military around this area. And that's why Israel bombed those tanks as well. Oh, Elad just gave us a super chat saying, meant for 4 true nations, the rest imposed from outside. The rest, 4 true nations? true? What is the definition of a true nation? Because the whole modern idea of a nation state comes from Western Europe. Right, because even the other ones like that have more higher, deeper historical ties, like Israel, Turkey, Iran, and Egypt, which I agree with you. The format that they have as a nation state, the model for that comes from the Age of Enlightenment from Western Europe. This new format of a nation state that we have. So I think the more accurate way of, I mean, I agree. I think I know what you're saying. I think we're saying the same thing. I would just word it differently. I would say among all modern nation states, the ones who are going to be more stable are ones who have built a nation state around deep-rooted historical cultural identities, because that's going to be able to you're going to be able to translate that more easily into the modern concept of nationalism. The modern concept of nationalism, that transition, that ancient ties, historic and cultural ties that you have, we have a new modern concept of nationalism. You're going to be able to transfer that more easily into this new form if you have those deep roots. That's how I would word it. And Ginga is saying Israel has a lot of captured weapons from Hezbollah. Yes. Yes. But do you guys understand this, right? You guys understand that every single country around the world, the recognition of them as a nation state is under a format that came out of the England and France, and then it was made and united, and the revolution, United States become a country, made it, acted as a catalyst for it to all of a sudden take over the entire world. That format came from Western Europe. So like Iran has an ancient history, but not in the format of this new modern nation state that we all recognize. Israel has an ancient history, but not in this new modern form of a nation state that we recognize. But obviously, that ancient history and culture helps them transition into this new format more easily. Does that make sense? Are we all on the same page? I want us to be familiar with these concepts here. Oh, Amir saying I'm trying to follow. Well, ask me if there's anything not clear. I like to talk about these. I like to talk about political philosophy, right? So let me give you a quick understanding, okay, of how the world works. Okay, used to work. The world used to be empires, okay, and you were either every person that lived somewhere had only, it was one of these three options, okay. You were either a citizen of the main empire, okay, or you were part of the colony of the empire, or you were basically living in wilderness and you were away from civilization, okay. So you were basically a tribe in the middle of a jungle or something like that. That was the three options. We had no nation states, okay. So for example, we had the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, the Egyptian Empire, the Mongolian Empire, the Arab Empire, the Persian Empire, the Japanese Empire, the Chinese Empire. It was just a world of empires, right? And you were either lucky enough to be like a Roman citizen, or you were part of the colony. You were basically one of the colonies of this empire, or you were just basically a tribe in the middle of nowhere, right? And it was honestly between being I mean, people are anti-imperialist, but actually empires worked, because you were, even if you weren't like a Roman citizen, it was much better for you to be part of an empire than being part of no empire. It was a lot more chaotic if you were between being a colony and just being part of no empire. It would just be better if you were a colony instead of just being a, like, the chaos involved with being part of no empire. You were probably a lot more backwards. Like, you guys know the monthly Python sketch. What did the Romans ever do for us, right? So Israel was part of the Roman Empire, like a colony of the Roman Empire. And I mean, the Jews was never, they were not happy with the Romans compared to the Persians. But again, it's probably better to be part of an empire than be nothing, than be left alone. Okay, so you guys, Amir knows what I'm talking about. What did the Romans ever do for us, right? So we yeah, you guys know which one I'm talking about. Anyways, so we had the Age of Empires until this. We had Age of Enlightenment, right? The Age of Enlightenment came, and then we had these people like Rousseau, Hobbes, and the Voltaire, John Locke. All these people came in and introduced all these Enlightenment values, and it didn't pick up until the French Revolution. The French Revolution didn't produce any results at first in France, because you replaced what you had with Napoleon, which was not what they had in mind. But it all started in the United States. So this whole modern concept of nationalism that we all recognize, and the nation state that we recognize, basically the spark of it happened with the birth of United States as a country. And then the model worked so well that it just basically became, and also because the victors of World War I and World War II were also following this model, it just became the world models. So that was basically slowly the end of the Age of Empires. And also the last main empire was the British Empire. And with them becoming fully in the format of a nation state and letting all their colonies become nation states themselves, we just basically completely transitioned from a model of empires to the model of nation states, right? So when you say like, oh, this nation state is real or this nation state is fake, this is new, this is old, all of this is new. Every single one of these is new. The format that we had used to before was you were and Israel was never an empire. Israel was always a colony of a different empire, right? So they were it was the Persians sometimes, it was the Romans sometimes, it was the Ottomans, it was like different places, but they were always a colony of another empire. So this new format of a nation state actually is good for Israel because they're independent. They have their right to their own self-determination. So this new format is working well for Israelis. I mean, so Amir saying, oh, you meant that Israel is not a direct continuum. It is, but in a new format. So Israel today has a lot of ties to the ancient Israel. I'm not trying to completely disconnect it. I'm just saying that this is a new format. It's not the same thing. It's not the same entity. It's the same connections. It's the same culture. It's the same history. It's the same legend. It's the same identity, but under a new format, a modern format. Oh, we got 2 more super chats. Shauna saying you have to have a shared identity you're willing to fight for to create a nation. Americans were united by religious tolerance, colonial experience, and the revolution victory. Yes, and America is actually a good example that even though having an ancient history helps, it's not necessary. So, for example, Iran and Israel are showing how having an ancient history really helps with this modern sense of national identity, right? It really helps. Okay, and if you have it, you should use it. If you have it, you should use it. But also countries like United States and Ukraine show that you could still have a very strong sense of nationality, even if you don't have that ancient history. Like you could have citizens that would go and die for your country to defend it if they have to, even without that ancient history. Like American nationalism is very strong. I mean, this whole modern sense of nationalism came from America to the rest of the world. They created it. They implemented it, actually. So Americans are very patriotic, and they don't have, and they're again, it's a new country. And they have a very strong national identity without having that ancient history that Iran and Israel have. I'm not saying it doesn't help. Obviously, if you have that, you have to use it. You have to use it. It's very valuable. But Ukraine doesn't have that ancient history. But the sense of nationalism, a strong sense of nationalism that people want to go and even die for to defend the country. Because here's the thing: when it comes to your country, there's two things you could look at, right? You could look at the past to find shared history and a shared culture to create that bond among your citizens, or you could look at the future. It's not just the past. You could look at the future, because even if you don't have that shared culture and history and legends of the past that will create a sense of nationality, if you look at the future and you look at these borders and the fact that you're all on the same team, you could share a common dream for your children, right? You could dream for a better future, maybe not for yourself. If I'm sacrificing, it's not because we have this deep ancient thing that we all share together and it's worth protecting. Is because me and you are willing to sacrifice ourselves for this land to become a better place for our children, right? So the love of a better future for our children could also create a very strong bond. And countries, honestly, that don't have, this is why economic prosperity and growth actually really helps here. So if you're a country that doesn't have what Israel and Iran have, which is a very deep ancient culture and history to rely on for a shared identity, then you should fight against ethnic and religious identities and use commerce and stability and a more prosperous future as a shared dream for your children to create a new identity to bond the entire country together. That's what I think is some country. I mean, United States has done that. Ukraine has done that. Again, why can't Syria do that? Even because there's so many other identities that are getting in the way. And this is why in this new liberal world, we are constantly saying, I'm like, me as a liberal, I'm constantly advocating for national identities above ethnic and religious identities, because this modern concept of a nation state is just works. That's why the borders should be the borders that we have drawn on the map, even if they're just made up. We should basically be mapping the identities based on where these borders are. And national identities is basically promoting national identities above religious and ethnic identities creates a much more stable world. I mean, it has proven to create a much more stable world than anything else. So we got another super chat here. Sam is saying the problem is that we have nations here that do not reflect the identity of the people living under it. I'm skeptical about Syria, Iraq, and Jordan. Yes, because the national identities there are much weaker than the religious and ethnic identities. And I don't think that's going to change for a while. And again, I think the only thing that could change that is the only thing that could change that is so much growth and economic prosperity that people are just too busy trading and building to be worried about their religious and ethnic identity. Let me actually read you a quote from Voltaire that makes my point. Hold on. I think I posted this. You guys know which Voltaire quote I'm going to quote? Anyone familiar? Posts by posts from me. Oh, there we go. Yeah, let me. So here's a quote by Voltaire. Says that shows you how commerce and capitalism can help with removing these types of identities. It's a very powerful. I mean, it's people don't find it as powerful as I do, but I really like this quote. Okay, so this is his observation of London back then. Voltaire loved London. Like he went from France to the England, and he thought that it's just the best. He thought the whole world should be like the UK. So I mean, back then it was amazing. So he said, Voltaire said, enter into the Royal Exchange of London, a place more respectable than many courts, in which deputies from all nations assemble for the advantage of mankind. There, the Jew, the Mohammedan, meaning Muslim, and the Christian bargain with one another as if they were of the same religion, and bestow to the name of infidel on bankrupts only. This is interesting. And bestow the name of infidel on bankrupts only. Was there in London but one religion, despotism might be apprehended. If two only, meaning two religions only, they would seek to cut each other's throats. But as there are at least 30, they live together in peace and happiness. So basically, Voltaire believed in the power of the market over reducing the emphasis on people's identity. I mean, also, one reason I think Israel is working, like a lot of people think like, oh, Israel works because of these beliefs or that belief or this culture. I mean, all of that is influential, but I think Israel, a lot of the success of Israel today is because of its economic prosperity, right? It's because it started by trying to become more communistic and leftist, but then it quickly went into the direction of the free markets, right? So, this is something that Netanyahu said himself as well. I was listening to Netanyahu one time, and Netanyahu said that a lot of people point to Israel's technological advancements, right? And how our technology and our science is making us strong. And Netanyahu said, but technology and science cannot by itself make us this strong. Because if it was about if technology and science on its own could make a country this strong, then the Soviet Union should have become very strong. The Soviet Union collapsed, but they had the best scientists and they were investing a lot in technology. So Netanyahu said that it's the combination of technology, science, and the free markets that gives you this much progress. So I was actually kind of shocked that Netanyahu, like, is somebody that, like, I didn't know that because I thought he would come and say like, oh, it's the Jewish culture or something like that. But he was saying that it's the combination of technology and science plus with the free markets, and that's the only way. And by the way, China is now trying to making the same mistake, because a lot of dictatorships and a lot of countries that have a centralized want to control everything from a centralized authority, they keep falling behind on liberal free countries, and they come up with this idea that maybe investing in science and technology is a cheat code to get out of this. The Soviet Union thought that if they invest in science and technology a lot, science and technology is the cheat code that eventually will make every country progress faster. But United States was also investing in science and technology, but it was spread over so many different universities and private entities that they were all just competing with each other. And these countries like China and the Soviet Union still don't understand the power of the emergent property of the Darwinian model that you get from the free markets. And now China, because it's falling behind in its democracy, in its progress, not understanding the power of democracy and free choices, is trying to invest so much in AI, green energy, and other technology and robotics, because it thinks that the key to getting back ahead is to just invest in technology. But the Soviet Union did this, and they still didn't catch up to the United States. And China is now doing the same thing. The only way that you catch up is actually if you let your people free. You have to let the people free. You have to loosen up your control. And these people do not want to loosen up their control. And that's why they will always fall behind. And Israel is powerful. Israel is powerful. One of the main reasons why Israel is such a powerful country is because it's a capitalist country. It's because originally it was going towards the socialist route, but it became rich and powerful when it went away from that direction and it became a capitalist country, a very capitalist country, and became an entrepreneurial, advanced liberal country. That's what saved Israel. That's what made it so powerful. One of the reasons. Ginga is saying the Roman Empire title today belongs to Brazil. Why? I don't get that. To Brazil? Why? Mm, yeah. Yeah, by the way, not we're talking about the Roman Empire. Do you guys know what they say about the Holy Roman Empire? I don't know. It's not going to be relevant. Nobody's. I don't know if people are going to get that. Anyways, Bar is saying they need an enlightenment period. It took around 1500 years for Christians and Jews. So are the Muslims ready now? Maybe 200 more years? No, I think they're what took 1,000 years before is going to take 10 to 20 years these days. I think things that took thousands of years are now take much less time, because now we have the internet, we have social media, we have AI, we have, I mean, even if we have borders on the ground, we don't have borders anywhere on the internet. And now especially with AI, people are going to be able to talk to each other with live translations. So we had geographic barriers, and because of the internet, we don't have geographic barriers, we have language barriers. And now with AI, we're going to remove language barriers. So the internet removed geographic barriers. AI is going to remove language barriers, meaning that if I'm live streaming in English, for example, right now, you don't need like I'm sure pretty soon we're going to have AI that with my own voice is going to live translate my live stream in real time to anybody speaking in whatever language, right? And people traveling around the world, they're going to be able to have devices on that everybody could just speak in whatever language they want, and the other person could receive it in whatever language they want with the person's same voice in real time. So AI, so in the same way that the internet removed many geographic barriers, the language barriers are also going to be removed, and that's going to mean that we're basically where we live might be different, and who we're governed by might be different, but most conversations are happening online anyway. So we're all just going to be, when it comes to culture and ideas, we're all just going to get mixed together. All of us are just going to mix together. The whole human race is just going to get mixed together online. So I think whatever ideas, I mean, this is all both good and bad, because that means that liberal ideas are going to spread a lot faster. But this also means that toxic ideas are also going to be spreading a lot faster. So this is good for liberal values, but it's also dangerous because that means Islam is going to be able to spread easier, and Marxism is going to be, wokeism is going to be able to spread easier as well. And that's why we need to be working a lot more harder in this new age of AI. Anyways, guys, speaking of AI, I have a show coming up on my personal channel in about 45 minutes. Speaking of AI, the new religion, a new religion of that. But my God, that is a perfect segue. Okay, so guys, I have a channel called Armin Navabi, and I'm gonna go live on it in how many minutes? 45 minutes from now. I put the link into the chat. I mean, just go search for Armin Navabi on YouTube. My channel should come up. 45 minutes. I'm gonna what did I title it? I titled that live stream. So on this channel, we'll talk geopolitics and religion, especially with focusing on Islam and the Middle East, wokeism, communism, stuff like that. On my personal channel, on my Armin Navabi channel, I talk about AI stuff mostly, right? So, and maybe sometimes I'm going to talk about economics as well, right? So, the name of that live stream is The Rise of AI Religion, Science, Logic, and the Real Heaven on Earth. So go search for my channel, Armin Navabi. You could just search for this on YouTube. That channel should show up. Okay. So that live is starting. Yeah, new religion, Torah. Yes. I'm actually going to convince you guys that AI is a new religion, but it's a religion that I support. It makes sense. It makes sense. AI as a god makes sense to me. And I'm actually calling it a religion, not in a negative way. So you actually come there and challenge me. I will try to pay attention to the live chat. Come and challenge me or ask me questions, because this, to me, that's a very fascinating topic. Okay, so yes, our God is AI, and he no, he doesn't hate us. Don't worry. There's not one. There's a lot of things. Anyways, I'm going to try to convince you guys that this is the religion. Like, no religion makes sense. This is the one that makes sense. So come there, and I'm gonna try to convert you into this new AI religion. Okay, all right, guys. Make sure you like the stream, leave a comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Oh, Deborah is saying, I assume you're talking about neutral net AI, not rule-based AI. Well, Deborah, come to that channel. We'll talk about it over there on this channel. Oh, Torah is saying it's idol worship. Well, you don't have to worship it. Come, Torah, come ask me, challenge me on that on that channel. I'll tell you. We make an idol, we worship. Okay, well, we'll Torah. Okay, come talk to me about it on that channel. It will be a fascinating conversation. So, guys, don't forget to subscribe. By the way, subscribing is not good enough. Make sure you hit the bell notification, please. The bell notification is very important, or else YouTube is not going to tell you when I'm going to go live. So hit the bell notification and leave a like, leave a comment after the show is over. Heavy Griddle, you always leave a comment after the show is over. Thank you so much. The rest of, like, so many people, thank you guys. Really appreciate you guys. Jewish Samantha is saying, but where do babies come from? That's a different live stream. I don't know why you're asking me that. Okay. Okay, guys. I'm Israel Kai, Javid Shah. Mwah. Come over to my personal channel, Armin Navabi. See you soon.